We have tonight a special Shiur, the Koved Lag Boimer, forthcoming Lag Boimer, and in the limited time we have, we will try to encompass as much as possible, giving everyone some kind of idea was tut sich da. So I would like to start with the 6 generations of Tanaim in Tkufas HaMishnah. In Rambam, in Akdomat Pirush HaMishnah, in Zoim state that in the Mishnah there are mentioned 128 Tanoim. Somebody is making a siyum. There's 128 Tanoim, of which 91 are mentioned because of a halacha, they said, and 37 are mentioned because of a ma'aser shehoya. This is the amount of Tanoim mentioned in the Mishnah. There's 5.5 or 6, Rambam called Chatzi Doir, Rambam calls it, generations in the Mishnah. The first generation, I'd just like to cover it right away to get into Rabbi Michoel Rabbi Akiva, Tinyon and the Yoime. I would like to have a shtickle scope of vos tutzach do in this tkufa. The first tkufa generation, they started in the late tkufa of Beis Hamikdash. The first Nasi in the first and second generation was Rabbi Gamliel Hazokin, who was an einikel of Hillel Hazokin. Rabbi Gamliel Hazokin, the son of Rabbi Shimon ben Hillel, was the first Tana in the Tkufas HaMishnah. The second generation was his son, Rabbi Shimon ben Rabbi Gamliel Hazokin. Just wanted to tell you, there's 5 Rabbi Gamliels and there's 5 Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliels. Not to get any, but we're talking about the first generation. Rabbi Gamliel Hazokin, and therefore after him, the son of him, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Harishoin, as he's called in some places in Shas. Together with them was Akavia ben Ma'alalo. Akavia ben Ma'alalo was a candidate to become in Tiyarsha, to become the Rosh, the Nesiah Sanhedrin. And he was Choylek and Chachamim in 4 Nekudas in Shas. In the Mishnah in Idiyos, it says they told him, Chazoir Becho. People that learned here, the people learned the Goyim, Dam Hayoroik, Fashidne Dinim of Akavia b'Mahal, Din Zach the Chacham, say Chazoir Becho, and we will appoint you for Yoresh, because he was the God Lador, you'll become the Nasi after Rabbi Gamliel, B'noi Shel Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Mutov li kore shoite, so it's a Mishnah, Loshen HaMishnah. Mutov li kore shoite, kol yomai v'lo isho achas ro'osho lifnei amokem v'lo yichosach boi. He lost the job. Next generation is under the influence of Rabbi Akiva ben Zakkai. The third generation of Tanoim is Rabbi Akiva ben Zakkai under his leadership. He is the Maise, the person that was there in the Churban. If you look in Shas and Kam v'Kam Mekoimis, Mishechorav Beis Hamikdash, Hiskir Rabbi Akiva ben Zakkai, he was there by the Churban. He took this transformation from having Torah under Beis Hamikdash to the Tkufa of Churban Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Akiva ben Zakkai was as Miriv Bains in Ungarn, a Kapazität. He was a diplomat, and he knew how to handle, and there was a very strong right-wing rebellious sect that was fighting against the Ramoim, and Rabbi Akiva ben Zakkai was a diplomat, and he tried to walk between the raindrops, and before the Mapol of Yerushalayim, question Machlekes Midrashim, how much before, he took his 2 big Talmidim, Rabbi Lezer ben Horkenus, and Rabbi Shua ben Hananya, and he walked out of Yerushalayim. He was matzliach bechochmosoi ubeormosoi to get permission from Haspasianus, that 2 years later became the case in Roimi. He got reshus to transfer the Sanhedrin from Lishkas Hagozis to Yavne. And the expression Ten li Yavne v'chachomeho was established by Rabbi Akiva ben Zakkai, who was telling Aspasianus, listen, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be mashkit, the mered. I'm going to quiet down this rebel against you, against the Remoim. Let me just take Torah. He says, I minimize, cut my losses, and go to Yavne. When Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai moved to Yavne, came there Rabban Gamliel, who was the Einikel from Rabbi Gamliel HaZoken. He was called Rabbi Gamliel the Yavne. Just if you learn in Shas, sometimes you see Omer Rabbi Gamliel, if he doesn't say Rabbi Gamliel HaZoken, he's Rabbi Gamliel the Yavne. Rabbi Gamliel the Yavne, who was the son of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel HaZoken, okay, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai say, listen, du bist doch Einikel von Hillel, and then see es lo yosul shevet mi Yehuda mechoikik mi bein raglov steht in the Gemara. So given a Mesoires, as the Torah has to be given over, the Nesias of the Sanhedrin needs to be given over to the Zera of Yehuda, lo yosul shevet mi Yehuda. So Mimele, you had said so. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was not, and you are an Einikel from Hillel HaZoken. You should take over. He stepped aside. He walked away from Yavne, and he gave Rabbi Gamliel the Nesias. He went to a place called Bru Chayil. Whoever learned, Oira Neir Bru Chayil, he used to say Pidyon Aben and Bris. He used to make. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai moved with his small yeshiva to Bru Chayil. He left the yeshiva in Yavne to Rabbi Gamliel, not HaZoken, but Rabbi Gamliel Hashem, the son of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Together with him, with Rabbi Gamliel, was his shvoger, Rabbi Lezer ben Horkinus, who was the husband of Ema Sholem, who was a wife. She was a sister of Rabbi Gamliel. She was a daughter of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, a brother and a sister. And together with the shvoger, the zwei shvogers, he took Rabbi Lezer ben Horkinus, Rabbi Lezer HaGodl, and with him at Oisgefield, the Rabisteve in. Now he told everyone has to be listen to the Rav. Rabbi Lezer ben Horkinus was not maskim to accept Achei Rabbi Muhatis. We know the story in the Sugyas HaGemorah in Bometzid Afnutes Tano Shel Achnoi, and there were Menade Rabbi Lezer ben Horkinus. The Rabbi Lezer ben Horkinus, together with them there was Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, given the Grace of Pikeach. So it was Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, Rabbi Gamliel, and Rabbi Lezer ben Horkinus. Rabbi Gamliel himself was impeached, and instead of him they took Rabbi Lezer ben Azariah. That's the Sugyas HaGemorah in Broches Daf Chof Zayin Daf Chof Ches. He took over because he was too rigid, too much, and he got a chutzpah. Chutzpis HaMeturgemen impeached him after 3 times. He had a Weltz chutzpah against Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, was a Golador. So this is the story. Together with them was Rab Tarfon, Rab Chanina ben Doisa, and they were all called the Chabura known as KBY, Keren B'Yavne. Keren B'Yavne was the Chabura of the Chachomim that were together, Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa, Rab Tarfon, and Rabbi Gamliel, and Yishvog Rabbi Lezer ben Horkinus. Lamai said this was the establishment of the Mishnah. The formulation of the Mishnah commences there, even though it will only be concluded later on, 3 generations later, via Rabbi Yehuda Anossi, who was also Einikel, Einikel of Hillel HaZoken, in the later generation. And in that generation, which is called the Doir HaRevi, according to the Rambam and Pirush HaMishnah in Oves, the people who were working the Doir HaRevi were Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha, Rabbi Akiva, unsere Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Loza ben Azariah, and Shimon ben Azai and Shimon ben Zoyma, who the Gemara Sanhedrin said that Yoshvim Lifnei HaChachomim, they didn't call Rabbi. Shimon ben Zoyma, ben Azai joined together the Doir HaRevi with Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha, with Rabbi Akiva, and with Rabbi Loza ben Azariah. They nichnesu lekeren b'Yavne. They weren't Roy, these 2 people. They didn't have a Torah of a Rebbe. Echad shteit nigmor. They wanted to be oisek in Sisra Torah. Meretoch erev lag boimer. They wanted to be oisek in Sisra Torah. Echad shteit nigmor heitzitz v'meis v'hechad heitzitz v'nifga. One of them died learning Ma'aseh Merkava, and one of them was heitzitz v'nifga. The question is, what means nifga? Rabbi Akiva, Shmoy Hoylech steht in Gemara in Yevamis in the first paragraph. Mish'ata u Akiva ben Yosef sheshimcho Hoylech misefer Oilam ve'atzayfoi. he Lemaise is going to take over the leadership. He was very, very right wing in the Mered. You have to understand the Remoima in Eretz Yisrael. There is the Rabbi Akiva is one of the people, the organizer for Mered Bar Kochva. Not only was an organizer, in Medrash State, Rabbi Akiva went twice for fundraising to Chutz La'aretz to collect money for Mered Bar Kochva. You want to know who's the Geforen HaMeshulach? Rabbi Akiva is Geforen HaMeshulach in Chutz La'aretz, Sfina Bayam, to collect funds in order to rebel against the Roimoim. He was chapped, he was put in jail, and unfortunately, he died in jail. He was questioned how many years he was in jail, but it was the good last part of his life till Sorchu es besoroi b'masreikois shel barzel and yotza nishmose be'echod, and in jail he's giving over Torah. They let him access to jail. They came in. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai is one of his talmidim. He is coming. During that kufa, just to give you a historical background, there was a Mered Bar Kochva, the Churban of Beitar, the Saruge Beitar Shehuvel the Kvur, Ateva Ameitim. They didn't let him 12 months not to let him even bury the Aruge Beitar. And Adrianus was the Caesar at the time. He made Gzeres, just like the Gzeres of Antiochus. You're not allowed to learn Torah, and you're not allowed to make Smichas Achachon. So, Lemaise, they saw that they're not going to be able to last. The Roimoim's headquarters was in Eretz Yehuda, in Yerushalayim, in the outskirts of Yerushalayim. They took an exit and they moved to the Galilee. They moved to the Galil. The reason why, when you go now to the Kivrei Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai and the Galil, you're going to see all the Kivrei Tanaim Amoraim sits in the Galil, is because Lemaise, during the Gzeira of Adrianus, Caesar, they weren't allowed to learn Torah. They couldn't care less if you moved out of Yerushalayim. They looked at Yerushalayim as Lemaise, the Mokem Ashchine, the Mokem Beis HaMikdash. They didn't allow any Talmud Torah there, and Lemaise, they ran off to the Galil. The Talmidim were the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva. Let's start. We have over here a paper, stating Mo in Yavamis Daf Samach Beis Amud Beis. Okay? Stating Mo in Yavamis Daf Samach Beis Amud Beis. Omru Shneim Osor Elef Zugim Talmidim Hoyu Rabbi Akiva Migvas Ve'ad Antipares וכולו מייסו בפרק אחד מפני שלא ינוהגו כבוד זה לזה והויה האוילום שומם. You listen to this? 24,000 Talmidim, 12,000 pairs of Talmidim, Rabbi Akiva had, and they all died בפרק אחד from Pesach, as soon as you see in the עד שבו רבו יסי, הויה האוילום שומם, it's nothing. Holocaust. It's no more Torah. Part of Israel fängt alle mal reden wegen Überbau in Torah, to build, rebuild, reconstruct, reconstitute Torah in the post-Holocaust era. He says, "Shen given amol, vehoya oilam shomim, umit finef talmidei chachomim mit ufgestellt Torah noch amol." The whole Mishnah is only as a result of this reconstruction of Torah after the hoya oilam shomim. עד שבו רבי עקיבא רבי יוסיינו שבדורים ושנו להם. Who is the רבי יוסיינו שבדורים? רבי מאיר, רבי יהודה ורבי יוסי ורבי שמעון ורבי אלעזר בן שמוע. והם העמידו תורה. אויסו שו. These 5 people rebuilt Torah. תונו כולו מייסו מפסח עד עצרס. The reason why we keep Avelis in Yemei Sfiras HaOmer is to commemorate those 24,000 Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, the old Deutsche Noagu Kovet Zebeze. Omar Rav Chome Barabbin Vitem Rav Chia Barabbin Kulo Meisu Misoro Mahi Omar Rav Nachman Askero. Question is, what is Askero? There's many pshotim. What is Askero? But they died. If it's Choyle Me'ayim, it's Choyle Chenek. There's different kind of pshotim in Rishonim. What is Misas Askero? But they all died Misas Askero Pesach Hadatzeh. So we have 5. Shtolzach the Goyen after Shaile, the Goyen, the Maral, Reb Tzodok, all the Parashonim. What does it mean V'hoya ha'olam shomem? What does the word shomem? Shomem means shmomo. Shomem means a shmomo, like a midbar. They where they had a different Bota Midrash that was still in existence. I got news for you. Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha was about Plukta of Rabbi Akiva, and he made an exit, and he had in a different place, he got a thriving Besmeidash Bois Hashem. So Rabbi Shmuel was around. What's Oilam Shomem? Rabbi Tarfon was also around. Rabbi Loza ben Azariah, Rabbi Gamliel was impeached. Echet Gefen HaBesmeidash. Rabbi Loza ben Azariah, there were many people of the G'dayli Yisrael that lived Ba'oisat Kufa that weren't from Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim. What is V'hoyo Oyom Shom Rashi Zoch B'loi Torah? What does it mean, Shmoma B'loi Torah? You know, the Reb Tzadok brings down a Shita Mekubetzes. Look at the Shita Mekubetzes in Ksubis. So Shita Mekubetzes in Ksubis, take a look at the reference number 2. וישלמה מפני שהויה אוילם שומם עד שבו רבי עקיבא שנור להם, הילקה כל אחד מתלמידov שהויה מכוון לדייתא הסכים להלוכו, ורבי עקיבא הויה להם במוקם מוישה רבינו אדון הנביאים, לפי שכבר נשתכח תורה שבעל פה עד שבו הוא ושנו. The reason why הוילם is shomem, because Torah שבעל פה was totally forgotten. When these 24,000, there were chachamim, but Torah Sheba'al Peh was 24,000 Talmidim was forgotten. And Rabbi Akiva, Ad Shebo Rabbi Akiva, V'hoyolem B'mkom Moshe Rabbeinu, as I state in Shita Mekubetzes, Adoin HaNeviim, all of Hasholem, Lefi Shekvar Nishtakach Torah Sheba'al Peh. By the way, I just want to say over a vote from Briskerov, which is Eina Yadua. The Gemara says in Menachos, I just want to smuggle it in. The Gemara states in Menachos, Omar Rav Yehuda Mara b'shor she'olo Moishel Amorim Metzor HaKadosh Baruch Hu sheYoshev v'koiser Ksorim Lo'oisius. Kadosh Baruch Hu was making Ksorim. Ksorim, Rashi says Tagim. We have Tagim, Shatnez gets the Tagim on top of the Oisius. You write Tefillah Mezuzahs, you write the Sefer Torah, there's Tagim on top. Kadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu saw Kadosh Baruch Hu koiser Ksorim Lo'oisius. Omar Rebbeinu Shalom Mi'akev al Yotcho. Omar Le Odom Echod Yesh V'Akiva ben Yosef Shmoy. Omar le Rebbeinu Shalom, יש לך אדם כזה ואתה זה תורה על יודי? Omar le shtoik, kach olo b'machshava lefana. He sees Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef, and he tells him, listen, he is Roy, so give Torah through him. He says, shtoik, kach olo b'machshava. What is mi me'akev al yotcho? What's the lashon mi me'akev al yotcho? Zog de Briskerov, I heard it from my Rebbe, Rabbi Yeshebel Zichroinu Livrocha, Ibn Gezok from Tapu. The Ramban brings down in Sefer Dvorim, B'Shem Sefer Tagi. Sefer Tagi was a Sefer Kadmoin, which was given the Shaila was Nivre, B'Sefer Yitzireh, B'Gras Oilom, was a Sefer of the Oisius Aleph base. Steht in Ramban that in the May Ezra, when Ezra Sefer came to rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash after there were matik all the Tagim. Okay, look at the Ramban. I'm quoting you the Ramban. וכוספתו עליהם אז כל דיבור התורה הזאת בוער היטב הכסיב ורבותינו אמרו בשיבי לושו ומוצינו בספר תגי שאויסו כל התורה כסובה בו מבראשיס אז לעיני כל ישראל בתגהו וזיונהו ומשם נעתקו כל התגים בכל התורה. Moshe Rabbeinu writes the Torah al Gabe Avonim with together, and Ezra Sefer was matik the Torah from those 70 Avonim. What does that mean? Ezra Sefer is matik. It's not given under the Sefer Torahs. Ezra Sefer, they were in Babel, they had Sefer Torahs. There wasn't Kufa, there was no Sefer Torahs. They had Torahs. What does Ezra Sefer have to go to the Yud Beis Avonim, which Ramban says was written on the Ines Kol HaTorah Kul Bereshis Ad Le'inei Kol Yisrael was written on that Torah, and Ezra Sefer was matik the Torah from the Avonim. Take us, you have a Sefer Torah, take the Sefer Torah, Machach Nosu Sefer Torah, and bring it in. Zog the Briskerov, the Torah he was given over, as I state in the Gemara in Sanhedrin. Torah was given Ksav Livoino, and Ezra was Mekadesh Ksav Ashuris. It's a different kind of font the Torah was given. Rashi says Ksav Livoino is Oisius Gdoilis, like Oisius which are entangled one in the other. What does it mean Ksav Livoino? But the Oisius were total different fonts. In the Oisius of Ksav Livoino, there were no tagin at all. The whole concept of tagin in Oisius is nischadesh in Ksav Ashuris, which is given like we have today, Ksav Ashuris with a tagin. The Avonim that were written by Moshe, the Torah was written B'Shivim Loshim. One of the Lashonis Torah was written was Ksav Ashuris. In those Avonim, there were Oisias Aleph Beis with the Tagim. So when Ezra transforms and he says, no more from today on, we're not going to use Ksav Levoino, you got a Nevuah. We're going to change, you transform to Ksav Ashuris. At that time, he copied over the Tagim from the Shivim Loshem with the Torah was written on top of the Avonim. So when the Moshe Rabbeinu saw and he sees, he says, Mi me'akev al yotcho, give right away the Torah Ksav Ashuris, and with the Tagim, and finish. Zoktem the Kodesh Baruch Hu Odom Echod Osid Lias ve'Akiva ben Yosef Shmoi, and he's going to darshan. Zokte, give it to him today with the Tagim. Zokte Eibeshte Shtoikach also b'machshovo, Torah has to go through different eras, different phases, and different channels. Until the Tkufas Ezra's HaSefer, the Torah, the giving over of Torah was Livoino. Moshe Rabbeinu did not have Moshe Rabbeinu Sefer Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote with that Tagim. Even though it was Metagim Tishivim Loshen, and in one of the Targumim, Loshen Loyazis, was Ksav Ashuris also, and the Ksav Ashuris did have Tagim, but the Sefer Torah, the way Torah was written from Moshe Rabbeinu's site in Biz Ezra HaSefer, which is the coming back to rebuild Beis Hamikdash Hasheni from Golus Bavel, Torah was written Ksav Levoino. Only thereafter Ezra made Torah accessible, and he made Torah written B'Ksav Ashuris, which he copied from your Beis Avon. Azay Zok, the Bris Kerov, Shat. So Moshe Rabbeinu, in the Torah which was given over to Moshe, Lemaise, in Moshe, look at the Gemara Sanhedrin, Daf Chaf Aleph, Oma Mazut v'Item Ma'uku b'Tchila Nidna Torah l'Ksav Yisrael B'Ksav Ashuris v'Loshen HaKodesh, Choz v'Nidna B'Ksav Ashuris v'Loshen HaRomi, Biru Le'em Yisrael Ksav Ashuris v'Loshen HaKodesh, v'Yinichu L'Odis Ksav Iv v'Loshen HaRomi, Ma'ik Ksav Ivis Omar Rav Chizde Ksav Levoino. So first Ksav was Levoino without Tagim, only thereafter was Ksav Ashuris with the Tagim. So we have two Kabbalah Satayr. Omar Rabbi Akiva, the Rabbi Akiva, which is Rabbi Akiva, is the Moiser from Torah. Whatever Moshe did to Torah Shebeksav, Rabbi Akiva did to Torah Shebal Peh. But not only Rabbi Akiva is giving over Torah Shebal Peh, but in the Torah Shebeksav that we have today, the template, the tzura, the font that we have the Torah, Rabbi Akiva is, the Maharsha says, Maharsha says in Yevom Ezav Tezayin, Atol Akiva ben Yosef, ששמחה אוילו בספר אוילו בספר ועדיין לא הגעתו לשלושה רואי בוקר. אז יש שתי גמור. You're still not, and the zweite גרסה לגמור לשלושה רואי צאן, so the Ramban, so the Maharsha, רואי צאן, you're still not רואי צאן, even Moshe Rabbeinu. You think you are the one who Mechadesh, I'm telling you, you're still Veniger, you're short of what Moshe Rabbeinu was. אז יש שתי Maharsha. Look at the Goyen in Likutim. I'm quoting the Goyen. Moshe Rabbeinu, listen to this. ושיירש תורה שבכסף, ורב עקיבא שיירש תורה שבעל פה, והדבורים עתיקים. ובביר עניין, לא שנה גוין, אוי אוילום שום יש לפורש, דאינרי אמרו בגמורה, ווב אלופים שונה ואוילום, בייז אלופים תורה, בייז אלופים תורה, ובייז אלופים ימויס המשיח. The Gemara in Avodah Daftes says, the world was created 6,000 years. First 2,000 years was Toyu. Second 2,000 from Avram Avinu was Torah. Third is Yemois HaMashiach. Zog the Goyen, I'm continuing in Safed Tzniuso, Ke HaTorah nistayim v'ne'elam b'soif daled alfi shonu kayadua, ubavay niseinu. שיוצא שאין תורה והמשיח הוא תורה בגודל שהזיב ובאויסה השונים מסגלגלים כל תף קופיים דל דרך שם הערב רב שם הנשומס מועיל ומתויו. Third Goyen is שיר השירים רבי עקיבא אחר חורבן לגלה שוב תורה וכיוון שמייסו כ"ד 1,000 תלמידים הרי ששוב הוי העולם שומם שחוזר לי יסתויו והתיקון בו על ידי תלמידו רב שמעון בן יוחאי. So they're going to say, you know what happened? Beis Alofim Torah, Beis Alofim Torah, it's like a contract. Torah finished. Hoya Olam Shomem, so the Goyen went back to the era of Torah. Rabbi Akiva is the one who reconstituted and brought this third 2,000 years of Yemois HaMashiach, which has a chelik of Torah in it. But the Hoya Olam Shomem, so the Goyen, he went back right now. The reason why Beis Alofim Torah is because after Rabbi Akiva lived exactly in that Kufa at the end of 2,000 years. If you look at the calendar, you know Rabbi Akiva lived 1950 something, 1955 till he died. Rabbi Akiva, by the way, was 120 years old. He died same age as Moshe Rabbeinu. During the time of Rabbi Akiva, it's a gekonshet, it's a geendik, no more Torah, go back to your Torah. I want to tell you something from Rabbi Menachem Mendel Shklover, and he writes as follows. Look at this. Look at this. Zokter, Imimatono nachliel, uminachliel bomois, umibomos hagay asher bisdei moyav roish apisko, v'nishkefa al pnei hayeshimoin. He says, "Was is Yeshimoin?" He says for the Goyen. Nishkan, sagt Nishkan. Sifrei Chasidus. This is Goyen. Mendel Shloshomati mipi Adoni Moire v'Rabi. V'nishkefa al pnei hayeshimoin, Yeshimon Rosh Teves, Yehudo, Shimon, Yosef, Meir, Nehemiah. Which means it's Torah Shebal Peh. Okay? Ubier, the beer Akai al Torah, Be'er is Torah Shebal Peh. The Gemara says, Matona Nachliel, and Torah Miskayim, Esel Mishamash Pilatzmoy, Umenachliel Bomis. The Gemara learns the whole Pasuk of Torah Shebal Peh. ואחר דחוזר הבאר אל הישימוין שהוא עניין תויו, כפירש רש"י שהוא לא של מדבר שהוא שומם, והחיבור אליה על די תורוסה של רבי עקיבא שהוא שורש תורה שבעל פה, שנשקפו על פני הישימוין, שהוא ראש טייבס דהי תלמידיו רבותינו שבדורם שלומדים תורה אחר שחוזר אוהל נהיה שומם. אומר לי כגויין, אוהל became שומם. There's no more, the Beis Halofim Torah is tachgendikt. The oil became shomem. And Rabbi Akiva, v'nishkefo, matono nachliel, machlil, bomis goes on Torah, v'nishkefo, was reconstituted, al pnei ha-yeshimoin, means, was a scope over the yeshimin, which yeshimin is Rosh Tevis of the 5 Talmidim, which reconstituted Torah. I'd like to speak a little bit about Rabbi Shimon Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Yochai, the Gemara state, the Gemara in Shabbos, the Flamet Gimel, Amud Beis, More says they're sitting down, all the Chaverim, Rabbi Shimon, and they are talking about their Remoim. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was the most militant amongst all the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva. He was in jail, and the Rebbe to Marangefield, good. If you look all the Gemaras that he told them what to do, all the Pesukim that he said, Shamati Rabbi Akiva bebeis Atzurim. They're sitting down. They says, "Kaman mai maser shel umazu." They are discussing the fate of. So Rabbi Yehuda was Rosh Medabim b'chol mokoim. He says, "Look at them. They build bridges. They build merchatzoyas. They build this." He said, "Shaita sheboinu." Rabbi Shimon says, Rabbi Shimon Yochai, "Merchatzoyas lo ishit b'hem zoynes kshorim ligves b'hem mas kol mashel osu lo osu lo tzerich hatzma." They only did it for their own good. No, but nothing was done for Klal Yisrael. Yehuda ben Gerim went and snitched to the Malchus. And therefore Rabbi Shimon was nidoin to Misa. They gave a psak, it was a warrant, he ran away from court, and he ran away to Pki'in, which is in the Galil. He sat in the Me'orah together with Rabbi Loza, his son, in order for them not to get any problems sitting in 12 years like this. Because Baruch was mezamen, a charuv, a box, a tree of water. Allah Nisi Rabbi Shimon Yochai, 12 years he was in the Me'orah. He came out of the Me'orah after 12 years. And he sees people, Choyresh, V'koitzer, Nosan, Einov. He started looking at it. Oifa Perech was Nisraf. He says, he heard somebody came to whisper to him on the Pesach HaMe'orah that the Kesar died. Nobody did not want that anymore. He tried to go out. And he saw that he's too haylik. He went back to the Me'orah. He was there for an additional 12 months. But I want to read this Gemara and I want to say a word. Steht in Gemara Zeh. Oma, when he walked out, oil v'yisrachesh, nise askin milse. Since I had such an ace that I was able to be giratevet for the Janus Kesar and not to get killed through the exile of the Misa. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent me a boxer tree and a small teich, a small water flow that I should be able to quench my thirst and not to die during the 12 years. Midaf Bach Israchish Lo Nislu the Gemara in Shabbos. Omar, look at the reference number 8. Oil v'Israchish Lo Niso Askin Milse. Diksiv Vayovo Yaakov Sholem V'Omar Sholem Beguf Sholem B'Moyne Sholem B'Teiros. Vayichanes Pnei Ayir Omar Rav Matbea Tiken Lahem. V'Shmuel Omar Shvokim Tiken Lahem. ורבי יוחנן אומר מרחצויס תיקן להם. Omar Iso Iko Milsa de Boy Liskune. What can I do? What can I do something for the tzibur that I got such a nace that so the Gemara Omar leika duchte de is be sofek tume the is the tsare le koyanim lafuke. There was sodik shene eved beim kever. The Galil was fearful of these sodiks. Was in Tveria, and he says the koyanim every time they walk by they have to go around and around. So I'll be metayed the sod. Omar iko inish. The Yoda, the Schozek, Ocho Tyre. Does anybody know they used to make Tyrus and the Soda? Omar Leahu Sabe, Kan Kitzitz Ben Zakai Turma Say Truma. The Zokin came, it was made that Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakai was Mekatzis Turmusin of Trumas. Apparently the Mokum is a Mokum Torah, he wanted to be Metayr. Ovad Yu Nami Achi, Kol Echoda Vekashe Tihare, Kol Echoda Verafe Tzaine. Whatever was hard land, he was Metayr, nobody. Whatever was Rafia, or soft land, he was Metzayan. This probably was a Mokum Soda Shenevet Bakever, you're not allowed to make tires over here. Omer, Ahu Sabo, Tier Ben Yoichai Beis HaKvoros. Chutz Beyask. This Zokein, who said the Eidus, Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai, was Metayr, Turmesin of true man, this Soda comes and criticizes. First of all, he makes Litzonis. He says, Ben Yoichai, Nish Rebi, Nish Rabshi Ben Yochai. The Ben Yoichai, Metame, Omalei, Ilmola, Yisoimonu, Vafilo, Yisoimonu, Velim, Nesoimonu, Yofat Loimer. You want to criticize if you weren't here? Fine. Achshav Sho, Yisoimonu, Velim, Nesoimonu, Yoimlu, Zoinus, Mefakes, Zuezu. They could fagin one each other to make each other Zoinus, Mefakeses. Talmide Chachom Lekolshkin, Yosav Be'enei, Yoev Be'ene Venach Nafshei. Rabbi Shimon Yochai Gita Cook, and Mida Cook is Nach Nafshei, is this Zokein, Nofoik Leshuke, Chazia Le Yehuda Ben Gerim. Omar Adain Yesh Leze Be'oilom. This Yehuda Ben Gerim was snitched him, he's still around. Nosan Eina B'Vasor Gal Shalatzos. So Rabbi Shimon Yochai is Heilige Eigen. Today you would have been a Baba, they would give him Kvitlach. He comes out, he's Seiref Oifa Pereich. He goes to make a takora, comes a Zok and a Chotzuf, he makes a Eidus, and a minute later he says, Tier Ben Zakai Beis HaKvoros. He looks at him and he disintegrates. And the same thing he does to Yehuda Ben Geir. Frag the Marsho, frag the Maral, frag the Ben Yoyoda. Why is this Einish, the Saba, he's a Moitzi Shemra? What is he doing? He's Moitzi Shemra. He's going around the street. He says, you know what? The God Lado, Ben Yoichai, is Metayr Beis HaKvoros. He takes Beis HaKvoros, he sends in the store. The Halacha Moitzi Shemra, the Einish should have been Tzaras. The Einish shouldn't have been Misa. Why is the Einish Misa? Zok the Ben Yoyoda, Moira de Kavod. And I think that's the theme of Rabbi Shimon Yochai, and that's really the Iker Ikorim of Lag Boimer. The Gemara says that Talmidei Rabbi Akiva died because lo inohagu kovoid ze beze. Azay steht in Gemara. Im Medrash in Koheles und im Medrash in Shir HaShirim steht a zweite Wort. I would like to read you a Medrash. I didn't bring it down. I would like to read you a Medrash. Baboiker zra zarecho Rabbi Lezer v'Rabbi Yishua. Rabbi Lezer oimer im zorata bebochir zra be'apil she'en ata yodea ma miskayim lecho im abocher v'im ofel כי אינך יודע איזה יכשר, אוי זה, אוי זה. רבי ישוע אומר, נוסוסו אישו בילדוסךו, ומייסו, שא אישו בזקנוסךו. הויו לך בונים בילדוסךו, יהיו לך בונים בזקנוסךו. שנאמר, בבויקר זרע את זרעךו, ולערב נתנך ידךו, כי אינך יודע איזה יכשר הזה עושה. Somebody had a wife, she died, he has to remarry. Somebody had children young, he has to be children when he's old. You never know which one will work out. You don't know which one will come out. Wer tarois wachsen. Von der Weib, von jener Weib. These children, these children. Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva, they're still weiter. Rabbi Shmuel immer, im lomadet o Torah benar usecho. If you learned when you were young, lemad beziknu isecho. She'ein ata yodea eze miskayemes. Im shel nar usecho, o shel ziknu usecho. V'im shneim ke'echot, toivim. Rabbi Akiva immer, this is the punchline. Shneim osor elef Talmidim hoyu li. This is the first testimony. Everybody knows the Gemara. Hoyu Rabbi Akiva. Here's Rabbi Akiva who is saying himself. Anybody wants to look, it's a Medrash Rabbah in Hakdoma in Koheles Rabbah. Omar Rabbi Akiva, 12,000 תלמידים היו לי מגבס ועד אנטיפרס, וכולו מייס בחיי בין פסח לעצרס. ובסוף העמידו לי שיבו. ברור זה לגמור יבוא משתת חמישה. But in Medrash state Shiva. ואילו הם רבי יהודה ורב נחם ורב מאיר ורבי יוסי ורבי שמעון בן יוחאי ורבי אליעזר בן בנו של רבי יוסי הגליל ורבי יוחנן הסנדלר. Omar lohem. Rabbi Akiva tells them, הראשונים לא ימייסו אלא מפני שאויסוינם צורו בתוירו זה לזה. אתם לא תהיו כאן. מיד עומדו ומילו את כל ארץ ישראל. In the Gemara Bas it says, Lo Noagu Kovet Ze Bezeh. So everybody says, what says Lo Noagu Kovet Ze Bezeh? They didn't respect each other. They spoke Lashon Hara about each other. In the Medrash in Koheles says, Omar Rabbi Akiva is speaking about his own tragedy of losing his 24,000 Talmidim. They all died in my life. Why? She'oiso eineim tzoro b'toiro ze bezeh. Somebody said a shtickle Torah. The guy says, you say like this, now I'm fakert. They couldn't forgive each other. Somebody said a shtickle Torah, a ganze Torah. Not only that, by having it tzarus ayin, by having nish kenen faginim yenem, what happened? V'chazara oilam liyos Torah. We holding by yeshimoy. You're almost oilam chorev. There's no more Torah. There's nothing left over. Rabbi Akiva is rebuilding Torah, but he tells them, you should know. Omar lehem harishonim lo yimeisu ela mipnei she'oyo eineim tzoro b'Torah ze leze. Atem lo yiyu ken. Miyad nisma lekol eretz Yisrael b'Torah. They rebuilt Torah, but now Torah is a new Torah. There's a new concept. Somebody said, says, Gevaldik, you said so good. I said over a verse from you. I said over the kasha to the Rebbe. Nish keren faginim brings the oilam to an end. When Rabbi Shimon Yochai walks out of the Meirah, and he sees this Zokin, and the Zokin comes and he said, Tir ben Zakai, Sodesh Besakvaras. This Zokin, what he's basically telling him is a name Tzoro Be'loim the Torah. He can't forgive that he made a takone and he was Mesake to say, Tir, you just said Eidus that Ben Zakai was Tarmusin Shal Truma. What are you saying right now? Zogt Rabbi Shimon Yochai. It's not a Rebbe Shemoifes. Nosan Einu B'Venasa Gal Shel Atzos. Zogt Rabbi Shimon Yochai. We are right now rebuilding Torah again. There was Torah Shebiksav. There was Torah Sherabal Balpeh. Rabbi Akiva was the Moise of Torah Shebalpeh. We just had a whole Holocaust, the whole Torah and the world becoming to Torah B'Voyu. Ubesoyu Yeilei Shimoim. The recipe to rebuild Torah is to be mufka from a name Tzoro b'Torah zebezeh. The tzarus ayin in Torah, that one can't forgive each other, is a destruction of Torah. Is bringing back an era of Torah to an era of Torah B'Voyu. The rebuild is a new recipe, a new page. This Zokin, as soon as it comes out of the Meirah, as soon as he's building the foundations, he's doing foundation, he's doing the infrastructure for a new generation of Torah. He knows that with the Tzarus Ayin, Tir ben Zakai, with Aleitzones, Tir ben Yochai, on a Rebbe, on Gornish, on Tzarus Ayin, he's not, you're right. For Lashon Hara, for Yitzhak Hashem, or you get Saras. But when you rebuild Torah, when you want to start taking Torah over and over again, Torah Shebal Peh, the Aleph base, the basic, the fundamental, the cores are having, forgiving one another. This is the Yontif of Lag Ba'omer. The Yontif of Lag Ba'omer is, we should know, Rabbi Shimon Yochai is teaching us. This we take, Teirosei, Mogen Lonu. The Torah of Rabbi Shimon Yochai, when he walks out of the Meirah, when he's rebuilding, when he's coming out again, and he's lighting the world with Torah, forgive each other. You'll forgive each other, you'll be able to rebuild Torah Shabbat.